use the music to teach the whole child, the body, heart, and
to learn new skills and to build new acumen.
As the year goes on, I get closer and closer. We can always touch. It's not.
When you get that, then you get a lot more excited about being around children.
Normal, in a sense, with all of the changes.
Or how you can transform your own business.
On developing the whole child, socially, emotionally.
Traditional route of teaching young
how to set boundaries, because this little victim here needs to know how.
Very well. So they use that term. I sometimes expanded them to go up to 40 minutes.
See, all of those things in education, of course, those things are important.
Is going to our heads and our lungs.
The affirmations in the mirror for about 2 minutes.
What did you do in order to get yourself going?
this is amazing.
It happens, what seems to happen quite a bit in our school.
For the families to come, and they
is that really for the child, or is it for us, for the parents?
And doing new things for our brain.
Who's orchestrating everything in this universe?
Which parts of the brain are used?
Based on that map that we have.
See you with your smiling face.
Atul, thank you very much for allowing me to join you. Namaste to you, my friends.
Hello and welcome everyone to all who have tuned in from different parts of the world to our Early Childhood Global Spotlight Talk Show. I'm Atul Tyagi from India. I'm also a co-founder of a preschool chain in the name of WOWkids, having more than 150 centers spread across 20 states of our country. I'm also a founder of this global mastermind community being backed by Marian Herman, who steers this along with me. We made a short video. I just love it. Marian, I would like to play it for all the audience who joined in. Let's see it.
As the year goes on, I get closer and closer.
To learn new skills and to build new acumen.
We can always touch. It's not.
When you get that, then you get a lot more excited about being around children.
Normal, in a sense, with all of the changes, of course.
Or how you can transform your own business.
On developing the whole child, socially, emotionally.
Traditional route of teaching young
how to set boundaries, because this little victim here needs to know how to.
Very well. So they use that term. I sometimes expanded them to go up to 40 minutes.
See, all of those things in education, of course, those things are important.
Is going to our heads and our lungs.
The affirmations in the mirror for about 2 minutes.
What did you do in order to get yourself going?
This is amazing.
It happens, what seems to happen quite a bit in our school.
For the families to come, and they
is that really for the child, or is it for us, for the parents?
and doing new things for our brain.
Who's orchestrating everything in this universe?
Which parts of the brain are used?
Based on that map that we have.
See you with your smiling face.
Atul, thank you very much for allowing me to join you. Namaste to you, my friends.
All right, after this wonderful video, friends, if you're just new here, we do these spotlight live show streams usually every Sunday 9 p.m. my time, which is Indian Standard Time, which is 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the United States. The point of these shows is to simply inspire others and share more and more knowledge on early childhood. And if you have a question during the show, feel free to leave a comment and we would be extremely happy to take them up during the show. Folks, today we have a very, very special guest, my good friend. We all know her. She's been posting lovely videos on our group since the time we started this community, Noha Barania from Egypt. And we're also joined by our very own Marian Herman, who's joined from United States. Before we get started, let me give a small introduction for Noha. Noha is an early childhood trainer, consultant, and curriculum designer. She is the founder of EduLane, which specializes in the early childhood education services, establishment, and development of preschools. She started on her early childhood education journey 20 years back. She obtained her Montessori diploma from Modern Montessori International, London. In addition, she has also obtained qualified professional trainer certificate from institutes in Egypt and Canada. She worked as a teacher, administrator, academic coordinator, curriculum planner, trainer, and consultant in more than 30 preschools. Awesome. Amazing. She is a tutor and assessor in the International Education Group UK and Arab British Academy for Training and Human Resources Development Egypt. Welcome, Noha, to our spotlight show.
Thank you so much, Atul and Marianne. It's always a pleasure being with you. Thank you so much for having me.
Of
Great.
course.
And we're also joined with our very own Marian Herman. Who doesn't know her today? She's the moderator of our early childhood global mastermind community and also founder of a global, internationally respected Music with Mare program. You can see a lot of information about her on our group. Whenever you are free, she has her own page. She posts almost every day some brain facts and a lot of information about her wonderful Music with Mare program. Even WOWkids as a preschool chain also has endorsed, and we also follow her program in our curriculum.
Thank
So,
you.
Marian, thank you both ladies to joining in. Over to Marian to take this further.
Thanks, Atul. You're always so sweet, what you have to say. Makes us feel good, right, Noha?
Yes.
Well, the shoe's on the other foot today. I believe last time you interviewed me, and I enjoyed that so much. You always, in a very loving, calm way, explain things that parents and teachers need to understand. And something that is really near and dear to both of us is the importance of teaching when it's right for the child, not teaching because you think this is what they should be learning. So talk about, please, a little bit why it's important to follow the child's lead and not teach what you think you should be teaching at the moment.
Well, everyone shouts from every corner that your child must have this, your child should be learning that. But did they have the chance to stop and examine whether or not it's really necessary or beneficial for your child? Did they have the chance to let the child have to play with whatever he wants and chooses to do? When you pull the child away from his self-chosen explorations and force him to do the work that we think is more beneficial for him, we actually are killing his love of learning, exploration, and creativity.
Yes.
Yes, and when your child has shown interest in a toy or a game and is deeply captivated by the activity, try not to comment, as you will benefit more from having an uninterrupted time and choose the times to praise wisely, as praise breaks the enhancement too. Just prepare the environment and for your child to be able to make choices. Make sure that he can make his own independent. Go now and take a look at your child's room or classroom. Examine the spaces your child uses most through the day. Is it confusing? Does the child have too many choices? Are materials with appropriate size and weight? And avoid putting everything in one big box. It doesn't give opportunities to choose and learn and ability to carry up when finished. An organized toy shelf teach children order and establish pattern structure from a young age. Try asking your child to choose toys and games that he wishes to play with, rather than always handing him ideas straight away. If your child needs help, just give him some instructions and directions. This will build his confidence and independence. And of course, there will always be a set of skills that the child can do on his own. But you can help him, guide him. For example, a child is working on a puzzle and appears to be stuck. To ensure the child does not give up and walk away, we sit with the child and praise what he has done so far. We point at empty space in the puzzle board. Ask the child if he can find a piece that might fit here. The child can look at the pieces, but he does not respond. We point at two pieces and ask if he can find it now. So the child can pick the correct one. And then you can give them instructions. Can you turn this around? Does it fit? He will answer, no. Turn around, move it a little bit. Does it fit now? Yes. So he will definitely show delight in solving the problem by himself. So don't shut down conversation by giving your child the right answer or the one that we believe that's right. But instead, encourage them to engage in the questions and asking them why they believe that, what they believe. So we as teachers and parents act as mentors, guides. We teach them the skill of how to think, the art of thinking. Children must be taught how to think, not what to think. And this is a famous saying by Margaret. She's an American culture policy. Yes?
I believe that once you create and give this kind of environment to small children that they do things on their own and you act as a mentor, it really boosts their confidence.
Definitely.
And this is something that a lot of parents are not able to do at their home. There are a lot of parents who are so busy in their daily life that they tend to give instructions to children. They don't give that much opportunities for children to do things on their own. Now, this is the kind of environment which we need to create for our children in our classroom so that they thrive, they build on their confidence. We see a lot of children coming into our preschools here in India where the children are very, I will say, introvert. They have never interacted in groups. Especially for them, it is very important for the teacher to create that environment that let the child take the lead. Let the child, you can prompt them, you can always prompt them, give them an example or give them some kind of hint for them to make it easy, but don't give them the answer. So that's what you rightly said. So I completely advocate on that you need to actually give this kind of environment in a classroom that the child leads and the teacher only is the felicitator. I will say she will only help the child. That's what I think Montessori is. So even we follow Montessori curriculum, so we generally have this kind of environment in our classrooms. Great, please carry on. Yes.
The idea of the word facilitator is so important because we also now have decided that it's our role to teach children how to play. We go out there and say, here's the game you're going to play. and these are the rules. Well, first of all, children don't understand rules for games until they're around 6. And actually, as a facilitator, we're going to learn a lot more by watching their games than if we try to tell them how to play the game. So that is so important. And they will make up their own rules, and then they will become their own leaders. No one else will have to tell them how to do things. They will know how to do it themselves. And that's just so, so very important. So I love how you say that. And when we don't do it that way, Noha, we see a lot of adverse reactions in those children. They're being pushed into learning things they're not ready for. And this leads into not just bad habits, but problems like anger, stress, not being able to control themselves. Talk on that a little bit, because I think that if parents understood how much this could hurt their children, maybe they wouldn't push so much. It's a matter of trusting you.
Yes, but by pushing children too hard to learn more complex concepts at earlier and earlier ages, putting them under stress and forcing them to do things they either don't want to do or feel unable to do, they may begin to feel pressured, which affect their enjoyment of learning and their confidence, and can have a very negative effect on their attitude towards learning for years to come. This may develop even greater anxiety about trying new things, refusing to participate, refusing to follow instruction, become angry, not wanting to go to school, complaining of stomach aches and headaches and diarrhea. And I personally experience that. I usually have aches and diarrhea when I try new things and when I try to get out of my comfort zone. And it took me years to work on that and to understand the reasons. So one of the most obvious problems with rushed academic training is poor pencil grip. Holding a pencil probably is actually pretty difficult. You need to have defined motor skills to hold the pencil tightly between the tips of the two fingers and the thumb, to stabilize it, to move in both horizontal and vertical way. So if the child has weak fine motor skills, then I need to work on activities that improve these skills, such as playing with Play-Doh, cutting Play-Doh, gardening, planting, transferring water using sponge, painting with big brush, threading beads onto pipe cleaners. You can also write using plastic or wooden letters until he has strong fine motor skills and he can hold the pencil and write. So children need encouraging rather than pushing too hard. So just give the child the task that he can cope with. If he succeeds, then they're much more likely to want to attempt things that are more difficult. But we need to be honest with ourselves. We need to determine whether our child is, where does he stand academically, socially, and physically, and where you want him to be. Then reflect on whether these expectations are realistic or too demanding. Focus more on the process rather than the result. And I want to compare here these two statements. My child can do this, and my child can do this yet. You notice that the second phrase is filled with potential, light, hope. There's a room for growth. So each child has to be given the ability to learn at his own pace, and teachers and parents don't have to set the instruction pace by the whole week. This is a striking difference from the traditional education where everyone turns to page 32 of the book and stands there until every child understands. They move on the next. So I believe we need to work on essential and key skills first in order to read, to write, to work on math concepts. For example, in reading, we need first to work on essential skills, which is the phonemic awareness, which is the ability to understand that words are made of sound. The child can do this with eyes shut, using ears only. They learn this before they read prints. The child can listen to the cat, k in the cat, k in the cow. We can introduce different themes, which is, those who don't know what the theme is, it's a topic that it's explored in many ways, and learning activities are planned around it, like art, cooking, science, songs, games, decoration, and flashcards. And themes means learning more meaningful for the child. We're teaching a variety of skills and based on the same categories, which help the child's brain to make that connection faster. So it's great opportunity to introduce new vocabulary. And of course, the child will need all of these skills later on in order to read. Pretend play. Imagine yourself acting as an engineer or a doctor. What would you say and how would you speak? You would probably need to learn some new vocabulary and practice the way engineers and doctors speak, right?
Yes.
So children can develop their own language skills, which turn into literacy skills. Story time. Of course, it expands your child's vocabulary, and the more words your child knows, the more he can read. And the more he reads, the more words he will learn. And even during story time, ask child things like, what do you think will happen next? How is the character feeling? Did you enjoy the story and why? Which part of the story captured your attention? What emotion this character is feeling, and what character and settings looks like in your mind. And the imagination helps the child's mind to form ideas, which help him later on to form ideas and visualize pictures in solving mathematical problems.
Yes, and you know what, too, Noha, we as teachers sometimes, we think that we have to be right on point, but it's really good too to make mistakes in front of them gracefully and laugh about it, because so many children develop a fear of trying these things because maybe it's wrong, and to say there's no right way to pretend to be a doctor because it's your way of pretending to be a doctor. And in doing so, sometimes I'll make a mistake and then I laugh and I say to the children, did you hear what Miss Mayer said? That was not what I was supposed to say. Oh my gosh, I think it's so funny when I make a mistake. But you know what? I'm human. Now I'm going to fix it. And that really resonates with some of the children when they go to try something, because there is a lot of kids that just sit back and watch a lot because they're afraid to step out. And when we're doing things like the open-ended questions that you speak of, it takes away some of that fear because you're allowing them to tell you what's important to them. And that's when they learn best. And yes, Montessori does that. Reggio Emilio, the same thing. Like, what is the child's interest? And teach to that. It's like when you're looking at TV shows, you don't watch something that's not interesting to you. And it's what children do. They don't follow you when you're talking about something that is not relevant to them. You know, like a child that lives in a mountain town, you know, like might not understand when you're talking about being at the beach, and you might lose that. So you have to stay with the things they understand and feel safe with. So I love that you do that. And just one note, because you know I always have to insert those music brain facts. Phonemic awareness is directly related to following a melody. So the more we sing with children and they can follow along with us, the earlier that phonemic awareness and the better it develops. So you should sing a lot. Thank you, Preeti. So while you're asking these questions, the children are pretty much letting you know without any stress what areas you need to help them with. So how do you assess that they're ready for a certain skill and are interested in learning something in particular? Now, I know you had said at the beginning, look at their rooms, see what they like. But what else? How do you assess? How do you know?
What you need to do is just sit back and observe. The best ways for kids to discover what they love is to have the freedom and time to simply explore everything. This free time play can say a lot about their interests. Expose them to broad spectrum of experience and activities, provide a sensory-rich environment, have materials around the home and the classroom that stimulate the senses, and they learn best when they experience or experiment the environment. And using learning centers really give the child the hands-on experience, such as arts and crafts, literacy, math, music and movement, science, toys and games, blocks, dramatic area. So children get to practice concepts they have been taught during centers in preschools. For example, saying to a child is learning to count to 10. He can explore this concept as he counts the blocks of the structure in the block center. And playing, for example, with animal counters in math center will give more time to explore the concept. Maybe he and his friends are setting the table for 10 people in the dramatic area. So we need to pay attention to the activities the child chooses, watch which activities they enjoy and naturally excel at, which we need to ask ourselves what activities and action that holds my child's attention, makes them smile. And we build on that interest to promote learning. And again, our role is to observe the child, learn about the child, know what stage of development he is in, and what his interest is at to prepare the environment that is suited for him. I used to have a child in my classroom that loved cards. He knew all the brands, the logos, everything about cards. So my team and I introduced many concepts through his interest. We introduced math concepts like counting cars, numbers and letters written on the license plates. We introduced concepts like big and small cards, sound of engines, loud and soft, fast and slow. We even let him wash cars to work on his fine and gross motor skills, which will help him later to write and makes him feel independent and satisfied. And you may find children playing in the garden and get interested in trees or ants. And this is really magical moment to teach them about ants, what eat, body part, life cycle. And we can extend the early learning concept. If the child master a basic pattern like red, blue, maybe he will go on into playing the more complicated red, blue, yellow pattern. If the child masters, for example, snipping with a scissor, he will go on to cut straight lines. Then he will cut shapes with straight lines like a square, rectangle, triangle. Then he can cut circles. If he knows the object that starts with sound, an object that starts with sound then he can start working on sorting object by sounds k and a. If he knows colors like red, yellow, and orange, now we can introduce the concept of mixing red and yellow to get orange, and so on. That's why we need to observe and follow the child, know where he stands, nurture and encourage him, and preparing, stimulating environment, adding to it, removing materials, preparing activities to meet his needs and to work on the certain skill. And when he masters that skill or that activity, we move on working to the next skill or the next level. You know, it's like a piece of puzzle, assembled together in a coherent, logical, sequential, fun way using hands-on materials.
Yes. And we provide things that are interesting, like you're doing patterns, red, yellow, red, yellow. But you tell them to find objects that are red, yellow. Then it's a lot more interesting. You know, like when I tell parents about when you have the 4 and 5-year-old that is in science and they're starting to learn the difference between alive, non-living. It's kind of boring to draw an X through all the pictures of things non-living and color the things that are living. But if you say to the kids, if it's living, say, it's alive. And if it's non-living, just go, non-living. All of a sudden, they're getting to act it out. And it becomes so much more fun. And at this, you know, like there are some educators that go, well, it's education. It's not supposed to be fun. They're not even 6. It's supposed to be fun because
Absolutely.
they're only going to learn if it engages their brain. And it's going to engage their brain if it's good for them or interest them.
I have a point now. You know what happens, Marianne? Sometimes when the child goes back home, the parents will ask, what did you do? The child says, no, we danced, we did some art and craft, we did that. And the parent, when they're new parents, they will call back. No, what did you teach in your class? My child only played, he's not talking. So, you know, what we did is, I would like to take an opportunity here and tell everyone that we have started a different thing. So what do we do is we have a full streamlined curriculum which we paste 2 weeks in advance in the diary of every child, where everything that we'll cover, the rhyme, the story, the uh, you know uh, whatever music, whatever we cover in the next 2 weeks, we paste in the diary. And on the day when an alphabet is covered, the teacher will sign in the diary so that the parent is aware that what is the child being taught in the class. So it's a very, very transparent system. And let me tell you, since the day we have implemented that, we have never had a single parent question that what are you teaching. And it's a complete holistic curriculum which talks about everything, the physical development, the academics part, the Montessori part. Everything is very clearly mentioned in that curriculum, and it is pasted in the diary, and it's given in advance, 2 weeks in advance.
Yeah.
So the parent is mentally prepared that, okay, on this day, we are going to teach alphabet. Today, it's going to be art and craft. Tomorrow, it's going to be Montessori, whatever. So we've tried to be very, very transparent, so that we are not, I will say, questioned by any parent, because it's very irritating when a parent comes back and tells the management that, oh, my child in that class, I want to talk to that teacher. And I want to ask that, what did she teach? She did not teach anything. So that was a history for us. So we streamlined in this way. We streamlined. But then, yes, it has to be pre-planned, and I think it is better to include and engage with the parent and be very transparent in the communication with the parent that this is what we have as a part of curriculum. Now we make it very sure and we make it very, very clear to the parent in the very beginning that this is a way we are going to proceed with your child development. And as rightly told by Noha, that every child needs to be assessed, that, and you can do it in the first 10 days or 15 days, maybe in a month only. You will get to know where the child, if he has come from another school or he did not had any other I will say previous education, you will know what are the strengths and what are the weaknesses of a child. There are a lot of children who don't like to write. They don't like to write because they've never got habituated and they just don't want to. They just like to, but they are very active when it comes to storytelling. They are very good listener. They digest, they can very well rephrase the words of the teacher in a very different manner and communicate with their parents. There are a lot of parents who don't talk in the first few months of their preschool to the teacher, but they communicate everything to the parent. They understand everything, but the teacher feels, no, this child is not responsive. So there are a lot of things, but the only thing I would like to bring it here is that it all depends on what kind of environment you create for the child, how much motivation or encouragement you give to the child so that he or she thrives. They feel comfortable in expressing themselves, or even if they're not good at that, they still express themselves in the classroom environment. And that's what preschool education should always be, that you never force a child to do something, you always create an environment. The entire learning has to be so happy. And let me tell you a very, very important thing which I have seen, Marian, interacting with you. You've had so many years of experience, 40, 50 years, and Noha with 20 years, that people who are good and who are in early childhood, they're very happy people. You can't be unhappy person and be educating a preschooler. You can't be. So it has to be, you can't be a strict lady and you can't have all those kind of, I hope you understand. So only, there is a kind of trait, there's a kind of, I will say DNA, which is required to be a preschool teacher. That's, you should have a happiness DNA in your blood to be really able to do this very well. You should have that encouragement, you should be able to give that environment, you should be very happy go lucky teacher for the child. Then only they will accept you and they will communicate with you and bring in whatever they want to tell, and then they will thrive. It's very, very important.
All
Yes.
emotional intelligence, right? So Noha, that Atul mentioned something that really leads into the final question here. And you have had experience with working with many, many schools and going in and giving advice, observing, and that also involves parents too. And a lot of times, because I get it when I'm doing a workshop and I say children will read when they're ready, sometime between 4 and 6. And they'll go, but the parents want us to get them to read now. And it's like, I always say in my workshops, when do we teach children to read? And when the state mandates it. No, the brain has no idea about state mandates. The brain is going to learn when it's ready. So teachers are pressured. Parents are going, well, I'm not going to put them in WOWkids because this other school teaches them to read at 2 years old. And that, is so wrong. So how do you get those teachers to understand how to talk to the parents about not pushing? What do you tell them?
I think we should, as educators and teachers, take the time to involve and educate parents, provide them with workshops, share ideas, modeling instructions through photos, short video clips, invite them to events such as, for example, supermarket or market day to practice with their children some mathematical concepts, and tell them that we have an education system that trains children to be creative leaders. They follow their curiosity and discover information on their own. They are not required to sit and listen passively to us as teachers, memorize and take tests, earn the best grade in the classroom. However, they develop the joy of learning, knowledge and understanding. And actually provide this example. I always provide this example. Imagine that we have a monkey, fish, elephant, dog, penguin, and you are the examiner and you're being fair and You ask every animal to do the same thing. You ask the animals to climb a tree. What do you think the monkey is feeling right now? He's happy, excited. It's an easy task for him, right?
Great example.
But what about the elephant and the fish? He might be frustrated, embarrassed, overwhelmed, under pressure. That will be the exact same feeling of your child. Children are like fingerprints. No two are the same. We need to respect their own skills, potential, developmental stage. And you parents might want to hurry your little ones to the next stage of development, but most of children follow their certain growth and development patterns that cannot be changed much. It's not possible to get your child to progress to a new stage of development before he or she is ready. And when they are ready, they are ready. And progress can differ by weeks or even months among children at the same age. As long as your child progresses and develops new skill as time goes on, then he is fine. So forget about what siblings did at the same age. We need to let kids grow at their own pace. And there's a big difference between equality and equity. Equality, treating everyone the same, regardless of their needs and interests, while equity is treating every child different depending on his needs. So we as teachers and educators need to find opportunities to change parents' mindset. And I totally believe that new mindsets lead to new results. And that's what we and our children deserve.
Yes, perfectly said. Very well said. I love that analogy with the animals.
Yes. That's something that nobody will be able to deny. So, that's something that's the easiest way. You can't actually, when a parent comes and starts having a discussion, you can't, sometimes it's very difficult to convince them, but they will have to understand what is the right thing for the child. But
eventually,
due to the competition going on and the kind of the academics war, I will say, or the war to thrive, there are a lot of parents who think something else, but then when it comes to the school and talking to the management of the school, they will say something else. So they forget what is important for. They feel it is right for me. As a parent, it is my choice or it is my desire that my child should be learning or should be reading at this age. So, and they will give their example or their friend's child example. They will do all that comparison. So this is the right example for them to be able to, compare if they want to compare.
And it worries me because when children come from an environment where they are being forced to receive love based on their performance, they grow up to be very anxious, stressed out, unhappy adults.
Absolutely.
And we need to take that away. We don't teach something, as we say here, because we want to teach it. Like that thing you're saying about the animals. I saw that thing about you can't teach a fish to ride a bicycle. It annoys the fish. No, you just can't do it. So it's so important to please wherever your role is with children. Sometimes we as preschool teachers, we think, oh man, I would love to be able to teach that. Well, if you wanted to teach that, you should have taught elementary school. Leave the preschool children where they're at, and, sometimes parents will want to send in videos just showing off their 3 or 4-year-old spelling words that I'm pretty sure they don't even know what the word means. There's no context there. So very important, no matter who you
said
are.
a very important thing, showing off. It's I think this social media and Facebook, Instagram have given a big opportunity, and Parents, they like to show off, and now they've started showing off their child. In fact, I was wondering, there's so many children. The place where I live, the 7-year-old, 8-year-old has his own YouTube channel where the parent will train them to say some things and do some things and try to expose them when they should be actually. And you know what, Marian, the thing that worries me, they do this in the evening when it is time for them to play outside with their friends.
Yep.
So they sit at that point of time because the parent has been working. They come home, they make those videos, they will make the makeup of the child, prepare the script, and then give it to the child. And that time, the child should be playing outside with their friends. So I'm not quite sure what is that they want to achieve, what show off, who are they trying to show off?
And
their 7 to 8-year-old child.
And that child gets used to attention, and then when they don't get that
Imagine my 10-year-old daughter getting messages. I am receiving, because we've not given her a phone. So I am receiving messages from her friends that, uncle, please tell Bianca to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I'm wondering, what is this? Then the other day I get another message from another 10-year-old. So I'm not sure. And these children are rarely seen in the playground. What they're missing. I'm not sure how tough it's going to be, because there are so many things happen. There's so many. I think everybody knows. We educators, we are very passionate about play as a part of the education. It's so important. The children learn so many things in the playground which they will never learn by just recording a video, something, just copying and saying it in front of the camera. That's it. So they miss out a lot of things.
And we as adults, we still learn through play.
Yes.
And Maria Montessori said play is the work of the child.
That's right. It's very, very important. And when we see children playing, it's not wasting time. They are working on all their different skills.
I think that is the only time which should not be compromised with any kind of learning. 2 hours of playing outside or 4 hours of playing outside, whatever. And since I personally feel, because the children have missed it so much in the last 1.5, 2 years, they've not been able to play with their friends in the schools. All the more I feel that whenever their friends call them from down, I send them. Even if they're studying, I send them. I feel that they should playing. They should do that physical, and a lot of other activities that they do with the larger group.
Yep.
Team building exercises, and a lot of other things that happen. So
And don't think that your child is wasting his time cleaning his room or folding his clothes when he should be doing math. However, math and all other academics require the ability to move carefully, to focus, to concentrate, and to develop eye-hand coordination, order, sequence, and independence, right?
Yes. Well, thank you, Noha, for your insight. I encourage all of you to follow Noha. She posts many posts on our early childhood group, and they are all very valuable, succinct. One of the things I like is that you don't post these long 12, 15, 20-minute videos. Nobody watches those because it's just, you want to sit down, you want to get some bite-sized information. Unfortunately, we don't have time to sit down every day and watch everybody's 12, 15-minute posts. But we do have time to get little bites from everybody, and yours are always so good. They're to the point. They have a lot of substance to them. And I encourage everyone in our group to please comment, share, let her know you appreciate it, and get some of your friends to join our group as well, so they also can share in the knowledge. So Noha, what would you like to say as your farewell?
I'd just like to thank you so much. I always feel excited to be with you here in Early Childhood Global Mastermind Community Group. So yeah, thank you so much. It's an honor and a pleasure. I'd love always to collaborate with you too.
Yes, thank you so much. And Atul, thank you for always providing this, helping make it happen. Because we know you're busy. You still haven't finished all those books behind you.
Yes, too busy to read those books, I'm sure. Great. Thank you so much. And until we meet you again next week, everyone. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.